Hi there, and welcome to the Cardinal team. My name is Celeste Sullivan. I am Cardinal's certified health coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the importance of good nutrition because here at Cardinal, we have a mission to provide a safe, happy, and healthy living environment for our clients. In this video, we will cover the significance of good nutrition, and then we'll learn from the world's healthiest, longest living populations and finish by talking about portion sizes. So let's get into it. It is likely that you know at least one person living with a chronic illness. 6 in 10 adults in the United States have a chronic disease. 4 in 10 adults have 2 or more. Chronic illness is broadly defined as an illness lasting longer than 1 year that needs ongoing medical attention and limits daily life in one way or another. The top chronic illnesses here in the United States are seen here: heart disease and stroke, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. Managing chronic illness is not fun whatsoever. It's time-consuming and very expensive. So often I hear people say, healthy eating is too expensive and it's too time-consuming. But it's likely these people haven't considered how expensive being sick is. Managing a chronic illness is not only time consuming, but expensive. It's worth the time and effort to learn to adopt a healthy lifestyle to avoid spending time and money on being sick. The science is clear. The main causes of chronic illness come from poor food choices, including diets low in fruits and vegetables and high in sodium and saturated fats. That sounds a lot like the standard American diet, what most of us grew up on. Well, when you're not eating well, who wants to exercise? That is the second main cause of chronic illness. And the third is more obvious. It's tobacco and excessive alcohol use. But here's the good news, you guys. 80% of stroke, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes could be completely prevented. Over 40% of cancer could be prevented just by learning how to adopt a healthy vegetable and fruit-filled diet, one that you enjoy. 2, by finding a type of movement that feels good that you enjoy. And 3, by not smoking. The Danish twin study established that about only 20% of how long and well the average person lives is dictated by our genes, whereas the other 80% is dictated by our lifestyle. It is our ethical and moral obligation to provide healthy food for the folks we serve at Cardinal. One of the most important aspects of your job is to be able to cook healthy, balanced meals for our clients. Some of you might be experienced chefs, whereas others might be new to cooking, which is totally fine. It's all about having the commitment to serve healthy, colorful meals at mealtime and be willing to learn how to do that. In our society, it is so often to be swayed back and forth by diet culture and clickbait headlines. But what we want to do is learn from populations of people that have been living healthier and longer lives than most people are here in America. So that's why we want to learn from epidemiological studies or population studies. Here's a population study that we can learn a lot from. Researchers wanted to find the healthiest, longest living populations in the world and study what these people were doing differently. They found these 5 populations that were living longer, healthier lives without all the chronic illnesses that we're dealing with. These people were doing a number of things similar, as seen here. But one of the most important points that they had in common was their diet. They ate a largely plant-based diet. No, they weren't vegan. They ate meat a few times a month and dairy a few times a month, but it was different than how we eat here in America. They use meat as more of a condiment a couple times a month, whereas we make our whole meal starring that meat. They made largely their plate coming from fruits and vegetables right from their garden. And they made beans and whole grains as a staple calorie source in their diet. This image breaks down what that looks like. So they were eating fruits and vegetables and leafy greens as majority, the bulk of their plate, whereas the other half, they were eating some type of starchy carbohydrate like sweet potatoes or brown rice, barley, quinoa, whole wheat bread. And they were having a quarter of their plate coming from protein, mostly coming from beans and legumes. So for Okinawa, Japan, it was soy. For Nicoya, Costa Rica, it was black beans. For Sardinia, Italy, it was chickpeas and white beans and navy beans. In Greece, it was lentils and white beans and fish. So we want to model what they were eating. And they topped off their plate with a little bit of nuts and seeds. And in these cultures, it wasn't because they thought this was healthier, it was because it was what was available to them in their garden and in their area. So they weren't out there drinking soda, they were drinking mostly water. So that's what we want to try to strive towards. It's important for us to understand portion sizes. So this chart is something you might see in the Cardinal Kitchen that serves as a guide for us. So when we're seeing vegetables, we're trying to get a cup, which is about the size of a softball. And we're trying to get that 3 times a day. So if we get 1 cup in each meal or 2 cups at dinner and 1 cup at lunch, that would be ideal. We're trying to get 3 pieces of fruit in each day. We're trying to get as much greens as we can eat or get our clients to eat, but at least 1 cup twice a day. When we're measuring out nuts and seeds and peanut butter, we want to aim for about the size of a golf ball or the tip of our finger. That's a tablespoon. So we want to get 2 of those a day. Beans, we're trying to get in a half a cup 3 times a day. That's ideal. And if you're eating a meat protein, you want to make sure that it's the size of your palm. So about 4 ounces, a deck of cards. And for grains and starch, which is sweet potatoes, tortilla, whole wheat bread, we're trying to get half a cup a serving 3 times a day. When you're serving casseroles or baked dishes, you want a 1 cup serving for our clients. We encourage you to use measuring cups while serving our clients or use this reference guide to serve appropriate portions for our clients. What makes the Blue Zones so different than what most of us have grown up to eat here in America is they're eating whole foods versus ultra processed foods. So when you hear people saying whole food or whole food plant-based, what they're talking about is foods that are easy to tell where they came from, that they grew out of the ground, or it's very quick for us to know where that is sourced from. It's minimally processed with few ingredients. So you can have corn tortillas. They're technically a processed foods, but there's not very many ingredients. It's corn, water, and salt most likely. So we're looking for less ingredients than more. It's generally high in fiber, so that means we can eat a lot and not go overboard on calories because often it's lower in calories. Whole food is also very cheap. It's a myth that healthy eating has to be expensive. You just have to cook from ingredients that you find in the produce section, in the bulk section, in potatoes and brown rice, things that are cheap to buy, but you do have to make. When we're talking about ultra processed foods, we're talking about the foods that look beige, brown, they're marketed, packaged, and highly manipulated. So there's way more sugar, salt, and fat in these foods that make our brain light up with pleasure, but really does a number on our health, leading to those chronic illnesses we talked about in the beginning. So these foods are low in nutrients and vitamins and high in calories and saturated fat. So it makes our brain happy, but it leads us to health problems. These foods are sadly very cheap and accessible. But we at Cardinal are creating a culture around whole foods versus ultra processed foods. This is a reminder to avoid bringing fast food and highly palatable processed foods into our Cardinal homes where clients can see and smell these. Because when we're trying to serve them healthy whole foods, but they see people they hang out with and work with, they are going to want to eat those things too. So here at Cardinal, we really encourage family style eating what the clients are eating. It will help you eat more balanced, nutritious meals, and it will help and motivate the clients to eat healthier as well. Remember, it can take up to 10 times to like a new food. So if you don't like it or your client doesn't like it the first time, praise yourself and praise them for trying it and try it again next time it's served, because When textures are new and when flavors are new, we don't always like it, but our taste buds adapt. And I know that that's true for me. I grew up eating really bad on the standard American diet. I did not like healthy food at all, but I never gave up and I kept trying new things. And now I can't even imagine eating the way I used to because I enjoy the flavors and the textures of healthy foods. So something that's helpful is to look up benefits of the food that you're eating and that the client's eating and telling them about it. So when we know that broccoli produces more energy for our mind and our body, it can give us more motivation to eat it and feel good about eating it. So telling the client broccoli gives you more energy for bowling or whatever activity they like to do, that can help encourage them to like it. In this video, we covered the significance of good nutrition, how we can largely avoid chronic illness by just learning to adopt a healthy lifestyle. We learned from the blue zones, the populations of people living longer and healthier lives, and how their diet differs from the standard American diet, and how important it is to incorporate those foods into our clients' meals. And lastly, we talked about portion sizes, how important it is to measure out food before serving to our clients. I appreciate your time and attention, and stay tuned for the next series of cooking basics and learning how to make these whole foods in a simple yet delicious way.